All right, and we are live. Good evening, everyone. Actually, good evening for me over here in Gainesville. Hope you all are doing well. My name is Adrian Carmona. I am an intern with the Varsity Sports Show, and I am the correspondent from Gainesville, Florida. And today we have another rendition of the Varsity Live Postgame Show. Um, as we start to wait for some of our guests that will be joining us, we're going to be joined by a few people who will be giving us post-game reports on some of the games that occurred tonight. So if you were in attendance for any of these games or tuned in live, here's where you will be getting your post-game report. As we wait for our guests to join. Just to give a little quick introduction to myself, if you are not familiar, my name is Adrian. This is my first semester working with the Varsity Sports Show as an intern. I'm a journalism major, third year at the University of Florida, and it has been an honor, honestly, to uh, be a part of this company, to be able to host these live streams to cover some of the sports in Arizona, even from Gainesville. It has been a huge blessing for me, and I'm lucky to be a part of this. And I think it's also really cool that I'm a huge fan of football. I love covering some of the stuff that happens in Florida, and I think it's cool that I get the chance to to talk about some of the stuff that's going on in Florida, even for a company that resides in Arizona. So that has been very cool. Sorry. What wasn't cool was the hurricane that hit us last week, Hurricane Helen. Unfortunately lost power at some point last weekend. That's also part of the reason why I wasn't here last week. But yeah, and we are just about to get way to our post game show. So first up, we're going to have Travis Bradley joining us. He's going to give us the post game report on Saguaro. So Travis.
Hey, how you doing, Adrian? So I'm just wrapping up here at Saguaro High School. Tough game. Seeing signs of some late life from the Saguaro SaberCats team, but they're just struggling to put it together for a full four quarters. Centennial looks strong. All right, so that's not to take anything away from that team. They came out and, like Coach Kelly said after the game, they won it outright. Some turnovers on the Saguaro SaberCats offense and special teams left them in a position that they ought not be in. But the reality is this team's coming around. Okay, they got quite a few athletes. They got a new quarterback just came in, transferred last week. Marcel Jones, he's been tremendous on the field. He's been scoring with both his feet and his arm. I have to mention there was a standout defensive player I saw tonight, number 34, typically goes under the number 33, but Martin Rennie has just been absolutely all over the field. Huge defensive force for the Saguaro SaberCats team, and he's just an aggressive defensive player.
All right, sounds like a good game going on over there in Saguaro. Were you there covering it?
Yeah, so I was actually doing the field correspondence, working some camera with Soleil down there. I'll tell you what, man, when you get down there, you can see that, like, these are some big student athletes. This isn't the high school football I remember. Also, with all the technology on the sidelines, too, nowadays, it's almost like a small college game.
Yeah, that's the vibe I've been getting for a lot of these high school games now, and yeah, the technology improvement, and with how popular high school football is becoming, yeah, it does seem like mini college football games at this point.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Coach Kelly, he's doing everything he can right now. You know, obviously this is a big rebuilding year. Everybody keeps saying that, but I'm anxious to see after this bye week, going into the second half of the season, what the SaberCats can put together.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see how Kelly really brings that group together over there in Saguaro. Well, thank you very much, Travis, for your post-game report. Hope you have a great night.
You too. Take care.
All right, so that was Travis Bradley giving us the post-game report on Saguaro. We're going to be joined now by Griffin, who's going to be giving us the post-game to the Tuscan game. Griffin, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Adrian?
Doing great.
So yeah, I did play-by-play commentary for Catalina Foothills versus Saguaro High School. Not the Saguaro Sabercats, but the Saguaro Cougars in Tucson. And it was a pretty good game. The final score was 18-7. Catalina Foothills won. And that was their first win of the season, actually. They were 0-5 going into that game. And Saguaro was 3-2. And so yeah, it was a pretty big upset. But to be honest, Catalina really looked like the better team, and I'm surprised that they're 0-5. And I think one of the reasons why they're 0-5 is that they've had just like a really hard schedule. And the coach was saying before the game that they faced like a lot of adversity and stuff. So it was really cool to see them like finally get a win, and they deserved it because they played a really good game.
Well, 0-5 to winning the first game of the season. Yeah, going through tough schedule is something I'm used to seeing with my Florida Gators.
Mm,
Um, yeah, it's tough right now, but yeah, it's been good. Great post game report, Griffin. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Well, that was Griffin with his report on the Tucson game. Great to hear from him. And yeah, going through tough schedules like that to start off 0-5, but to get your first win, always very uplifting for those guys. And honestly, something that I'm very um something very used to with my Florida Gators. One of the hardest schedules in college football right now. Currently, we're 2-2 and play UCF tomorrow. They just got blown out by Colorado, but it's never an easy game when you're the Florida Gators at this point. So that's been rough. But yeah, especially after this UCF game, the schedule just gets so much more ridiculous. Still have to play Texas, Georgia, Florida State, even though they look pretty bad too. But that's going to set that game between UF and Florida State is going to set football back years. So got to do what you got to do as we wait for the rest of our guests to join us. Want to thank you all once again for joining us live. Always a pleasure to be here hosting this post-game show for all the great games that are going on right now. We still have some post-game reports ready from Vegas football and also from the Mesa game. Of course, some of those games have just concluded, so we may have to wait a little bit for these post-game reports to come in. But yeah, just to give a little bit of a leeway into what I've been doing for Varsity Sports Show so far. Sorry, it's been great being able to host the radio show. Once one of the Arizona Saturday shows was great. I actually did get to interview the Saguaro head coach, Darius Kelly. Very just great interview overall. I really do like what he's done with the team so far, even though it is a rebuilding situation. It feels like he really does have a good culture brewing over there. So that's always great to see. And I just loved the pleasure of interviewing him a few weeks ago. And yeah, it's been great being able to cover a lot of the Florida high school sports too, because Florida high school sports is very popular among any high school or state in the country right now. And yeah, it's just been very fun overall to do it. And yeah, also a lot of college football games going on tonight. UNLV just got upset actually by Syracuse. What a game that was. Syracuse ended up pulling out 44-41. Oregon is also playing at home against Michigan State right now. Last I checked, they were getting blown out, but you never know what's going to happen in college football. Sorry. And yeah, I wish I could have been here last week hosting as well, but unfortunately, a hurricane decided to cover the entire state of Florida, which left me out of power for a little bit. I actually ended up going home at some point because of that. But always great to be healthy. Always blessed that I was safe. There were some parts of Florida that did get really bad, but nonetheless, we're still here, still thriving, still got to do what you got to do. So at the end of the day, yeah. Sorry to keep you waiting. We are still waiting on a couple of our guests to join. As we get those post-game reports from those games that have concluded. But yeah, it's been great working with Varsity Sports Show, doing all these post-game shows. Really hope you guys were tuned in to Varsity National Live, where we got some post-game reports from all over the country. Honestly, we got reports from Philly, Indiana. I gave a Florida report, and it was just very cool to see how everything else is going on outside of outside where I live and outside where most of you are probably listening from. But yeah. Other than that, as we wait for the rest of our guests to join in, I want to thank everyone once again for tuning in. If you're just joining us now, we got some post-game reports from Travis Bradley, who was giving us a post-game on the Saguaro game, as well as Griffin, who gave us a post-game report on the Tucson game. So a lot of interesting stuff going on over there in Arizona, and we are currently scheduled to be receiving a post-game report from Vegas football and the Mesa game. So once those begin, or once those guests join, we will be on our way. Other than that, I'll just get a little bit into more about myself. I've been in the University of Florida now for 3 years studying journalism, and it's been quite a ride so far. I've been doing a lot of stuff writing with ESPN Gainesville. It's been very fun. And yeah, it's just been great overall, especially now getting this opportunity to be with the Varsity Sports Show. Very grateful for that. And yeah, it's been great overall. As again, sorry for the wait for some of our guests, but some of those games still are just finishing up now. Yeah, I do truly want to apologize for this. As yeah, Oregon completely destroyed Michigan State. Not even a contest, but yeah. Sorry about this. Yeah, also NFL. I mean, these post-game reports, I think, are getting so much more interesting now because a lot of these games, for high school and honestly just all three levels of football right now, are getting to like that breaking point where it's right before the midseason mark. So a lot of these games now are going to be, they have playoff implications or divisional standing implications. So, this is kind of like the witching hour of football when, teams start really fighting for like playoff positioning. As we get to the midseason point, and that's definitely what we've been seeing so far with all these post-game reviews, post-game reports. Just a lot of high-stake football being played, and yeah. Unfortunately, that is going to be the end of this post-game report of this edition of the Varsity Live Postgame Show. My name is Adrian Carmona. Once again, happy to do this again as an intern for the Varsity Sports Show, and I hope all of you have a great night.